They say the dead can't speak, but the living don't listen. The morning our gas line mysteriously hissed, Charles was holding the hymn book I'd marked for Sunday service. Marcus insisted we stay the night at his place, just to be safe. We smiled like obedient parents and locked the door behind them. Then Charles slid the window open and whispered, "Retta, you smell that?" I did. Not rosemary from the pot on the sill. Raw, mean gas. We cut the valve, crept to the porch, and left the lights burning for ghosts that were still alive. That's when we decided to let our killers think they'd won. Subscribe, because this is the story of how we died, lived, and told the truth anyway. The death plan begins. I've always loved a quiet kitchen. The click of the pilot, the hum of the fridge, the soft slap of slippers on linoleum. That morning, quiet felt wrong, like a church with laughter sucked out of it. Charles's face was chalky. We called 811 and the utility man came quick, eyes wide. "Ma'am, someone loosened this valve. Not an accident." We didn't call the police, not yet. We called our neighbor, Deacon Lee, who keeps a key and doesn't mind minding. "Retta," he said, "y'all come sit at my table." While Charles sipped sweet tea, I checked my phone. Missed calls from Marcus. A text from Tasha. "Let us handle your accounts. Your health comes first." A picture followed. My driver's license. A gag gift photo from a family barbecue. My stomach nodded. At Deacon's table, the wood smelled of lemon oil and Sunday pot roast. I scrolled through banking alerts. A $2,100 Zelle transfer to MT Home Services at 2:11 a.m. Our name's on it. We didn't send it. Tasha had offered to help with online bills, remember? One time became two. Two became, "What's your password, Ma?" I thought of the notebook by the phone, the one with tiny flowers and tiny secrets. "Retta," Charles said softly, "we have to be smart." He rubbed his chest. Pride makes a hard pillow, but it kept us upright all our lives. We raised those boys without calling cops on our own. But gas lines don't loosen themselves, and money doesn't walk away at 2 a.m. "Let's pretend," I whispered. "Let them do what they came to do. We'll be gone before they arrive, and when we come back, we'll bring eyes with us." Deacon Lee scratched his jaw. "You mean die without the dying?" He glanced at his hallway camera feed. "I can help with timestamps." We staged it small, left the back door unlatched, a pot on the stove, a dish towel near the flame but not touching. We unplugged the carbon monoxide detector and took it with us in my church tote. I wrote a note to the pastor about missing rehearsal. Harmless details create believable lies. That night, Marcus's truck circled twice. He didn't knock. The next morning, my phone stayed still, but the bank app didn't. A new beneficiary added, for medical emergencies, with Tasha's email. My breath went thin. "Retta," Charles said, "this ain't raising boys anymore. This is surviving them." "Then we'll survive," I said, folding the hymn book slow, "and we'll make them tell us why." They planned the fake death and set a trap. We started with the ordinary. I called the clinic and asked for a copy of my last blood panel. Nothing suspicious, just the voice of a nurse who's known me 10 years. "You take care now, Miss Green." Ordinary is how you hide. Then we visited the bank. The branch smelled like coffee and printer ink. Miss Alvarez, the manager, straightened when she saw us. "Mrs. Green, we received a request to add your son as a co-owner for medical convenience. We needed your signature. Did you already sign?" She slid a scanned form across the desk. My name looped on the line. Too neat, too young. I thought of Tasha's tidy handwriting on thank you cards. I looked at Miss Alvarez and told the first part of the truth. "We believe someone's trying to pressure us." She nodded slowly. "Then I'm going to flag your account and separate your online access. 2-step verification on a number they don't know." She glanced at Charles. "And no changes without you both together. Also, you might consider a temporary freeze." Walking out, Charles muttered, "If Alvarez hadn't been on shift, we'd be eaten." I didn't disagree. On the porch that evening, Deacon Lee showed us his doorbell footage. Marcus at our door, 1:04 a.m., hood up, shoulders hunched.
Tasha looked both ways, then pressed something into his hand. A plumber's wrench? My jaw clenched. We agreed on the script. We'd vanish from our house. No lights, no church, no routine. Deacon would let the right rumor slip. Pray for the greens. Carbon monoxide scare. Not dead, but close enough for the greedy to accelerate. We moved 2 blocks over to Mrs. Holloway's spare room. She keeps jasmine by the window. At night, the scent gets inside your head. I lay awake thinking of David, my firstborn. His funeral had blue hydrangeas. People cried noisily, like grief was a contest. Only Charles stood quiet, hands shaking. We told everyone it was a robbery gone wrong. That lie sat in our house for 20 years like a guest who never leaves. Retta, Charles whispered in the dark. If we go all the way with this, if we open that door, we can't shut it again. I know, I said. But if we don't, we'll lose this house and our good name, and the lie will outlive us. I'm tired of feeding it. In the morning, the pastor called. Heard y'all had a scare. You need anything? I said we were fine. Then I checked the bank. A reverse mortgage inquiry submitted online. A house, the one Charles reshingled last summer. My hands went cold. We weren't just surviving anymore. We were timing a confession. Reverse mortgage attempt. Time is running out. 2 days later, Marcus arrived at Deacon Lee's, bright smiles stuck on like a label. He didn't expect to find us sitting there. Ma, Pops, you should have told me you were here. He kissed the air beside my cheek. Tasha lingered by the doorway, scanning the knickknacks like price tags. We needed quiet, I said, folding my tea napkin. And a friend. Charles's silence filled the room like a second sofa. Marcus tapped his foot. So, about the bills. Tasha's been handling everything. We'll keep doing that, okay? Tasha's voice came smooth. We got a nurse lined up, too. Insurance forms just need signatures. Deacon Lee cleared his throat. Funny thing, the bank manager flagged some forms, something about signatures that don't look like Miss Retta's. Tasha didn't blink. Must be a misunderstanding. I kept my eyes on Marcus. Funny how gas lines loosen themselves after midnight. The smile ticked. You accusing me? I'm asking a question. He spread his hands. I've been nothing but helpful. He said it like a closing argument. Tasha reached for my forearm, polite possession. I moved away. She masked it with a laugh. Mrs. Green, you know how online stuff is. Click here, click there. Let us simplify. Like adding yourself to ID, Charles said, voice gravel and smoke. Silence landed. Daddy, Marcus sighed, I know a guy who can get you a better rate. Why y'all so suspicious of help? Because help with strings is a noose, I thought. I took my phone and stabbed the play button. Doorbell video. Marcus crouched at our stoop, the wrench passing from Tasha's hand. Marcus went still, then small. Tasha's smile dropped clean off. You spying on your own son? Marcus said, voice thin. Charles leaned forward, that bus driver posture, ready to stop a fight or a bus. We're protecting our lives. He slid an envelope across the table, printed statements, highlighted transfers, a list of purchases from a luxury cosmetics site, the same brand Tasha wore to the barbecue, sheen like wet marble. Tasha exhaled through her nose. So what? You gonna call the cops on your child? On your daughter-in-law? She let the words, your people, hang without saying them. I felt the old fear, the way our stories get told by strangers with pens. No, I said, we're going to church. Marcus laughed too loudly. Of course you are. On Sunday, we'll give a testimony about gas and paper trails and signatures, and we'll ask for legal aid right there in the front pew. Marcus's eyes flashed. Shame, anger, calculation. You wouldn't? Son, Charles said, voice low. We would. The public testimony threat forces Marcus and Tasha to act. We chose Saturday night to sleep at home for the first time since the gas. We told Deacon to keep watch. We left the porch light on and curtains cracked. We made sure the neighbor's teen, Keisha, was selling cookies across the street for her cheer team. Witnesses create truth. Just after midnight, A car crawled by. The engine ticked in the damp. The porch boards creaked 1 step, 2. I lay on the sofa with my back to the room, counting the way I counted collections at choir, steady, not fast. Charles's hand was on my ankle, our signal. The door whisper opened. Tasha's perfume, sharp as a silver coin, cut the air. A soft clink, key against metal. Then Marcus's voice, a paper-thin whisper. In and out. Something scraped. The stove knob? A hush of cloth near the dish towel. Tasha's steps moved toward the desk where the password notebook used to sit. Her breath hitched when she found nothing. I let my breath ride the edge of sleep sounds. Charles squeezed twice. Now. My phone, face down, streamed the hallway camera to Miss Alvarez's private email, the legal eyes we promised to bring. Deacon recorded from his window. Keisha's mom stood on her stoop, pretending to water the fern in midnight darkness. Then Keisha knocked, bright and annoying as morning. "Miss Retta, you want cookies?" The steps froze. Tasha hissed, "Go!" Footfalls scrambled. The door snatched air. A car door slammed. Tires squealed. We sat up to the sound of the gas clicking where someone had tried and failed to turn it back on. My body shook like a tambourine in the wrong hands. Charles pulled me close. "We got it," he whispered. "We got enough." Sunday morning, we dressed in our best like we were going to a wedding that needed witnesses. Church smelled like starch and peppermint. I walked to the mic with Charles's arm under mine. "Family," I said. "We need help." I told them about the gas, the bank, the signatures. I did not say names. I didn't have to. Miss Alvarez stood up from the third pew, voice clear. "Our branch has documented irregularities. We can assist with legal referrals." Deacon nodded like a metronome. I was shaking, not from fear, from the weight of what I still had to say. "Also," I said, and the air trembled, "there's something I should have told you 20 years ago, the night our David died." Charles gripped the pulpit edge. The sanctuary noise thinned until only the fluorescents hummed. "I lied," I said. "We both did. The secret about David is about to be revealed." The sanctuary leaned forward like a single body. I saw Marcus in the back, hat brim low, Tasha stiff behind him. I thought of David's laugh, how it bounced off the kitchen walls like marbles. "David didn't die in a robbery," I said, each word like a step across ice. "He died protecting his brother." Charles closed his eyes, pain crawling over his face. I went on. "There was an argument in our garage, money missing from your grandmother's envelope, a watch from your grandfather gone. David cornered Marcus, temper snapped. David slipped on oil on the concrete, hit his head on the workbench. He was breathing when we found him. He was breathing when the ambulance took too long. He was breathing when Charles said, 'We can't lose both boys. If we tell the truth, we'll lose Marcus to a cell.'" A long, raw gasp rose from the pews. The pastor's face folded like paper. "Sister Retta." "I know," I said, voice thin. "I have lived 20 years listening to a lie rattle the dishes. I thought I was protecting my family. I was protecting my fear." Charles took the mic, voice rasping. "I told Retta to keep quiet. My shame, my call. I thought I was saving the living. Turns out I was burying them too." In the back, Marcus blinked like a man walking out of a dark theater. Tasha's mouth had a line I hadn't seen before, a crack of something like comprehension or contempt. I set the second part on the table. "We forgave Marcus. We let the story change its clothes. We thought it would behave. But lies grow hungry. They eat money. They eat houses. They eat sons." Silence gathered itself into a verdict. Then Miss Alvarez spoke. I'll contact the elder justice advocate and our legal partner. If anyone tries to retaliate, my branch cameras and your doorbell video will speak." The pastor nodded. "We'll stand with you, and we'll pray for the ones who lost their way." Marcus shifted, then turned toward the door. Tasha stopped him, a hand on his wrist. They slipped out. Every sound in that exit said war. After service, the elder justice volunteer sat with us in the fellowship hall. Coffee was burnt, the lemon cake was dry. Real life keeps being real even when your heart is breaking. "We'll file an order of protection," she said. "Freeze the accounts, revoke any fraudulent powers of attorney, notify the mortgage company in writing, and get a safety plan." I signed, and the pen felt like a trowel, turning soil that had never been turned right. Charles leaned into my shoulder. "I should have told the truth then," he whispered. "You just did, and we're not done. Marcus and Tasha won't back down. They escalate."
Monday afternoon, 3 letters arrived. Reverse mortgage approval, pending final signatures, a routine wellness check request from Adult Protective Services someone had anonymously filed, and a notice about our car title loan application. Fake, but loud enough to echo. "Paper warfare," Charles muttered. The advocate moved fast. "We'll document the false reports. It's common. Abusers try to weaponize systems to scare elders." Ms. Alvarez called. "Your accounts are locked down," and Mrs. Green, "The attempted beneficiary change triggered a fraud team. They want your statement." Meanwhile, my phone lit up with messages. "Ma, why you dragging our name through the mud? We can fix this without outsiders. You always loved David Moore." I typed back, "Come by at 7. Bring the truth." Rain began. Big, heavy drops that smell like pennies. The house listened. At 7 sharp, Marcus and Tasha arrived with 2 faces, polite and pressed, no wrenches. Tasha spoke first. "We didn't try to hurt you. The gas was a mistake." She glanced at Marcus. He was upset. People make mistakes. I kept my voice small. "So did we. We told a lie that raised you wrong." Marcus folded his arms. "Don't put that on me." "It's already on you," Charles said. "You've been carrying it so long you think it's your skin." He flinched. "I was a kid. And now you're a man, one who tried to turn his parents into a payout." For the first time, Tasha's voice thinned. We were drowning. The shop failed. The landlord... Look, we were scared. Her eyes were glossy, but not soft. Money fixes a lot. Not this. Not the hole David fell into. Not the hole you dug last week. We're pressing charges. I set the printed screenshots on the table. Timestamps, transfers, the reverse mortgage request, the car title loan application. And we're telling the court what happened that night because the truth is the only rope left. Marcus's jaw worked. "If I go down, I'm taking the whole picture." "Take it," Charles said. "We're done posing." Lightning flashed, the kitchen went bright as God's hand. Tasha swallowed, then tried one last thing. "You show up in court, and I'll tell them Charles keeps a bottle in the truck. I'll tell them you're forgetful, Ms. Retta. APS will take one look at this cluttered house." I laughed, worn out and clean. Let them see the clutter. Let them see the hymn book, the timers on the stove, the sticky notes. Let them see the woman who remembered every password and the man who can still recite bus routes like scripture. Marcus looked at the window, at the rain. He said, "We can still fix it," voice too soft. "Say you misunderstood." "We understand perfectly," I said. "Court is inevitable, and they're ready." The elder justice lawyer, Ms. Dunbar, moved like a metronome, steady, exact. "We'll need a timeline," she said, tapping her pen. "Start with the first financial irregularity." I opened my ledger. Pharmacy runs doubled on odd days, groceries purchased across town at midnight, streaming subscriptions we didn't watch. Tasha liked prestige dramas, Her email threaded through the receipts like cat hair. We recorded statements with Deacon and Miss Alvarez. Keisha's mom submitted her midnight fern-watering video. The utility company confirmed the tampered line. Dunbar smiled without warmth. This is strong. At night, I dreamt of David in the garage, oil shining like a dark mirror. He always smelled of laundry soap and machine grease from the warehouse job. He was a good brother, mostly. He could push, though. That night, he pushed too hard, and the floor pushed back. Charles sat on the edge of the bed. "I keep seeing his hand," he said. "We can hold both," I answered, "the sorrow and the proof." Neighbors dropped by with pound cake and advice. Church folks offered prayers and folding chairs. The house filled with witness. Tasha drove by once, slow. I saw her face, beautiful and scared, a combination I recognized from my own mirror years back when money rubbed our bones. Miss Dunbar rehearsed my testimony. "Keep your answers simple. Don't explain what you think they meant. Say only what you saw, heard, signed, smelled. What I smelled was gas. What I heard was midnight." We practiced the ending. "Yes, Your Honor, I intend to pursue a protective order and restitution." The night before the hearing, Marcus texted, "Last chance, we'll put money back, just don't talk about David." I stared at the screen until the words stopped being words. Then I wrote, "We loved 2 sons. We're done pretending we only lost 1." Charles held my hand, thumb circling the knuckle where my wedding band sits like a promise still working. We walk in there together, and we walk out lighter no matter what. I boiled eggs for the morning and set out our Sunday clothes on a Thursday. Routines keep the mind from slipping into fear's back room. I placed the hymn book in my tote, not for court, but for after. The house hummed. The fridge clicked. Outside, a car door shut. Quiet, padded footsteps on gravel. A silhouette paused at the edge of our lawn, then retreated. I didn't tell Charles. By then, I understood. People poised to lose a story will do anything to keep it. Someone is still circling, attention before court. Courthouse mornings smell like coffee and nerves. The marble is always colder than it looks. Miss Dunbar met us at the door. "Breathe," she said. "Let the paper do the punching." Marcus and Tasha arrived holding hands that didn't hold. Their lawyer wore a tie pinned too tight. We sat across from each other in the hallway, the kind of quiet where even whispers sound amplified. Tasha looked at my shoes. "You wore the blue ones," she said, as if we were at brunch. "David liked those," I said. Her mouth twitched. Inside, the judge had a face like a closed book. We raised our right hands. Ms. Dunbar led, patient and surgical. I spoke about the bank alerts, the forged signature, the attempts at changing beneficiaries, the reverse mortgage inquiry. Ms. Alvarez corroborated. The utility worker explained the loosened valve and the wrench shape. Deacon and Keisha's mom testified. The doorbell video played, a grainy choreography of betrayal. Then, Ms. Dunbar asked the question that cracked the room. "Mrs. Green, did your son or daughter-in-law ever express frustration about waiting for an inheritance?" I swallowed. "Yes." I described the jokes with sharp edges. The "why hold on to that old house" speeches. The "we could get you a nice condo" promises. Opposing counsel tried to paint me as confused. Ms. Dunbar slid in the timestamps, the 2-step verification logs, the bank's fraud flags. Confusion doesn't set midnight alarms. Finally, Marcus took the stand. "I was trying to help," he said, eyes darting to the exit. "They forget things. They leave burners on." He said it like he was explaining a recipe. Miss Dunbar didn't flinch. "Sir, can you explain why your wife is seen handing you a wrench at 1:04 a.m. on the night the gas line was loosened?" Marcus's mouth opened, closed. We were fixing a leak. The courtroom air shifted, bone-dry disbelief. Then it happened. Tasha's face crumpled, not theatrically,
but like someone finally let go of a heavy box. "We just wanted a way out," she said, voice small. "The shop, the debts. I told him the gas was a scare, not—" She stopped, horror blooming at her own words. The judge's pen paused mid-scratch. Silence held its breath. Ms. Dunbar nodded once, like a conductor landing a note. No further questions. The breaking point is here. Judgment next. And one last truth. The judge leaned back, fingers steepled. "I am granting the protective order, freezing contested transactions, and referring the matter for criminal investigation." His voice was unornamented, like a carpenter's cut. Marcus sagged. Tasha stared at the table's wood grain as if she could rewrite it. The judge continued. "This court also notes credible evidence of attempted harm." Then he turned to me. "Mrs. Green, is there anything else the court should know relevant to the safety planning of this family?" I felt Charles beside me, solid as the pews in our church. I spoke the final piece. "Yes, Your Honor. 20 years ago, we lied. Our older son, David, died in our garage after an argument with Marcus. It was an accident, but we hid the truth to protect him. That lie has grown into this." A sound rippled through the room. Shock, sorrow, someone's muffled sob. Marcus lifted his head, wild-eyed. You told—" He stopped, chest heaving. The judge was very still. "Thank you for your honesty. The past cannot be retried here today, but truth informs safety. Mr. Green, consider this your last mercy. Your parents chose daylight. You should too." For a moment, I saw 5-year-old Marcus, cheek sticky with jelly, chin lifted for a kiss. Then the image blurred into the man before me, practiced at taking what he hadn't earned. Outside, the courthouse steps were busy with other lives. Reporters weren't there. No one wanted our headline. That felt right. Not every victory needs a microphone. Tasha approached us, eyes red. "I'm pregnant," she said, voice flat. "I was going to use the condo money to start over, without him if I had to. I'm sorry, Mrs. Green. I am." She looked at Charles. "I am." I believe she was sorry in the way people are sorry when the mirror won't fog anymore. But sorry is not a rope. "Then choose better," I said, "for you and for that child." Marcus didn't come over. He stood beside a trash can, phone in his hand, the future a door that had just lost its hinges. We walked down the steps into a sky that had the color of clean dishes. I breathed like a woman waking up. Resolution begins, what life looks like after truth. We changed the locks and installed new detectors that sang louder than any choir. Miss Alvarez helped us open a fresh account at a credit union across town. The elder justice team set up a financial monitoring system that pings my flip phone with every withdrawal. We paused autopay for a week and restarted with new passwords, not written anywhere but in my head and Charles's. At church, we didn't sit in the back shadows. We sat where the sun made the stained glass warm. People hugged us too hard. Some looked at the floor, unsure how to hold other people's sin. The pastor preached a plain sermon. Truth costs, but lies collect interest. We boxed David's things carefully, his cap, the photo from the county fair, a Polaroid where he's mid-laugh. I placed the box on the top shelf, not as a shrine, but as a marker, the boy we loved, the truth we finally gave him. One afternoon, Tasha came by with Miss Dunbar present. She laid a cashier's check on the table, restitution from the fraud team's pressure. "I'm moving in with my aunt," she said. I'll send you a picture when the baby comes." Her eyes slid to our wedding photo. "If you don't want it, that's fine." "Send it," I said. We don't close doors. We change locks. Marcus's voicemail filled with my voice asking him to meet with Miss Dunbar and a counselor. He didn't return the call. Maybe he will when the floor stops tilting. Charles took me dancing in the kitchen. The radio found a Sam Cooke song and we floated like people who know the cost of ground. The house didn't feel like a vault anymore. It felt like home. That night, I wrote a letter to David and burned it in a coffee can out back. The smoke smelled faintly of jasmine. "I'm sorry," I wrote. "We tried to hold you and your brother with the same hand and dropped the truth instead." The flame ate the paper and then went out, small and satisfied. We slept without fear, for the first time in a long while.
In this city, money buys microphones, but dignity carries further when the music stops. I'm not a hero. I'm a father who measured love in receipts and long nights and the courage to be disliked for a while. Justice didn't make us whole. It made space for healing. Some stains fade with time and soap. Others remind you not to set umbrellas on the table. If this were your child, would you risk their love to save their future? Tell me in the comments what you'd have done differently. And if stories like this speak to your heart, subscribe. New chapters of real life every week, told by hands that still carry the dust of this city.